Rhett Lashlee, one-on-one. It's college football smothered and covered.
You are Locked On College Football, smothered and covered, with your host, Rhett Lashlee. Your one-stop shop for everything college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into College Football Smothered and Covered. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Your first $5 bet gets you $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We will talk about some drama within the Alabama community. Also, Mea Culpa Monday, as we do every single Monday. But we are joined now by a head coach who is going to the college football playoff. He is Rhett Lashlee of the SMU Mustangs. Rhett, how you feeling, man? It's been a little while, wild ride over the last 72 hours.
Yeah, it has been. Feeling good, though. Feeling grateful that our guys get a chance to keep playing. And there's a 12-team playoff for the first time ever. 12 teams get a chance to go compete for a national championship, and SMU is one of them. So we feel like we earned it, and we're excited to get that opportunity.
What was it like going from the high of coming back against Clemson, scoring with, 16 seconds left, the walk-off field goal, to lobbying for SMU, to theoretically going to sleep, to figuring out how you're gonna watch the selection show? What was your range of emotions like?
Yeah, it was a roller coaster for sure. Our team was ready to play. We were excited to get the opportunity to compete on that stage with Clemson. And, Clemson had been there, I think, the last 8 times with Dabo. They'd won all 8 by an average of 24 points or more in the ACC title game. And we sure in that first quarter helped them and made it look like they were going to do it again. But our team showed the resolve, the character they've had all year. We had one really bad quarter, put us in a hole. Then we just kept fighting the second and third quarter. And then we had one really great quarter and tied it up. And so, we had all the momentum. I've got asked a lot, would you go for 2? I've done that before. I'm not scared to go for 2, but I didn't really even hesitate. We were kicking the extra point because we had all the momentum. I think our defense had only given up 7 points. In the second half, only 10 points since the first quarter. We were in really good control there, and offensively we were moving the ball. And so felt like we had the advantage going into overtime, but we didn't cover a kick. And then credit the kicker from Clemson. That young man just absolutely drilled it from 56. And that's college football. Awesome game. That's what's great about our game. I'm sure for those watching, it was fantastic. It was hard for us, And then just to not really be able to process losing a championship game of that caliber because you knew 11 or 12 hours you were going to find out, are you in the playoff or not, when you went into that game being solidly in. So to see our name or see our logo pop up there around 11:20, 11:30, whatever time it was really cool. It was really emotional, actually. I was just so happy for our kids. This team deserves it. We got a special group. I think we won 22 games in the last 2 years. I think it's 4th best winning percentage in America. So glad they're in and get a chance to show the country what they can do.
In that game against Clemson, in the first, you mentioned you played one bad quarter. It seemed like the offensive line, which when you were on the show last spring, you said the offensive line was going to be a strength, and it was basically all season. But Clemson did some things that in my mind looked like they were confusing up front in the second half. Things changed. What did you talk to your offensive linemen about, your offense about at halftime that sort of flipped the switch?
We weren't confused. They did exactly what we thought they were going to do for the most part. I thought we ran the ball decent. We were running some good stretch plays. We just weren't explosive, and they did a good job early on. We weren't able to run in between the tackles very well. They had the one strip sack early. Kid's a really good player. He's going to play in the NFL, and our tackle just got beat. But other than that, we had more yards than them at half. We were moving the football. We just weren't finishing drives. We also knew going into the game, Clemson had been known for starting really well. I think they'd given up hardly any points in the first quarter all year, but they'd given up a ton in the fourth quarter. We had also started well this year. And so that was really the thing that broke is that, we turned it over twice. We gave Clemson the ball 4 times on our side of the 50 in the first quarter alone. And that's how you give them 21 points. Our defense played well, but they were put in some terrible positions early. So we knew if we just kept playing that it would break. unfortunately, we weren't going back and forth and making them drive the field to allow the game to stay tight until it broke. If the game was close, we'd have pulled away, but it wasn't. We were coming back, and I credit our guys for hanging in there. I mean, we made some minor adjustments. We spread them out a little bit more in the second half, threw the ball, ran the ball, spread out a little bit more, and that helped. But they weren't confused. They're just going against a bunch of NFL players.
You made the switch from Preston to Kevin Jennings. I think maybe the world got to know and got to see what a lot of us who cover the sport on a day-by-day basis had seen over the last two months or so. Just sort of take us through the whole season and when you saw what Kevin could do and how you have built the offense around him after making that change early on.
Yeah, I mean, you go all the way back to his freshman year. We knew we had something special with Kevin, we thought, but he was young. And then even after last year, when Preston got hurt, he came in and won the conference championship game at Tulane. You just had seen enough evidence that, one, the moment was never too big for him, and he had a lot of confidence in himself. And then, two, that we just thought he had a really, really high ceiling, was just going to get better and better and better. And so I think he's been the benefit of God's gifted him to be really good, but he's also gone the older path. And what I mean by that is he came in as a true freshman. He redshirted. He did play some, but he redshirted. Last year, he was the backup. Didn't play much till the very end of the season, but he was in our system for 2 years. We learned him. He learned us. He learned college football. He learned his teammates. So when he got his chance, he was ready. Instead of true freshman, if I don't play, I'm transferring, or all the other things that happen now. He kind of went the old path, and credit him for that patience, belief in us. I mean, he had a lot of opportunities to leave last spring, chose to stay. He wanted to be here, trusted us that we were going to give him a chance to compete for the job, and we were going to play the best guy. First few games we played him, but it just became evident that we moved the football more consistently when Kevin was in there, and he gave us a chance to have an identity on offense that would make defenses have to defend the whole field. Whether we're running it or throwing it vertically and horizontally, we weren't doing that in the first 3 games of our season through the BYU game. And so when we made the switch, we felt like it was the best short term for this year's team, without question, but we also felt like it was the best long term because we knew he would get better and better and better each week. And boy, has he done it. And I think all of America saw, if they didn't already know in that second half, just what he's capable of.
He's been awesome. So now you're going on the road to a hostile environment against the Penn State team that gave Oregon fits. I mean, they just kept coming back. They kept fighting. I know it's only been, less than 24 hours since you found out you were playing them. What have you seen on tape? What kind of first impressions do you have?
I haven't seen as much on tape yet. We'll start getting in that later today and tomorrow, with us having about 13 days to get ready and the portal opening today. I mean, free agency in college football begins today, and we're also in the middle of a playoff. So that's kind of a unique situation in our sport. But, we know we got our hands full. I've got a ton of respect for James Franklin just because of the consistency he's won with at a place like Penn State where the expectations are super high. Andy has been fantastic as an addition on what they do offensively. So we got a big challenge there. But then defensively, they've just been really good for years, and I think you saw what Manny did there the last 2 years, and they've just kind of carried that over into this year. And then to your point, they took Oregon to a 1-score game down to the wire. So I know they've got great edge rushers. I know they got great team speed. I know they're a complete defense that going into championship weekend, I think was holding people to around 16 points a game or something. So, and then to have to go do it at Happy Valley, one of the best, if not the best venues in college football. I mean, there's going to be 100,000 plus. It's a whiteout. It's going to take everything we have as a team and as a program to be able to focus and play for 4 quarters or more and come out of there with a win. But man, if you're a competitor, that's what you love, an opportunity to go on the road against a great opponent in their great environment and compete. And that's what we're going to do.
You mentioned the transfer portal. How many people are in your facility right now just hitting refresh over and over and over again?
Probably more than I know. But we're, I think people understand. I am glad that high school signing day was last week and we're not having to go out recruiting this year for the first time, because I actually can't imagine it, because my first year we played BYU in a bowl game and we found out we were playing them. We had 13 days to get ready and go to the bowl and sign a high school class and do the portal thing. And it was just, it's not possible. And so, but yeah, we're trying to retain our roster for next year. We're trying to add value with guys that are available to replace the outgoing seniors. But fortunately we got the high school kids signed last week. And so we know we have a great high school class coming. So, and by the way, we're trying to get ready to go play Penn State in the college football playoff. So a lot
there's
on,
that.
but it's a great situation to be in. Our staff's energized, disappointed that we didn't win our championship game, but really proud of the work our guys did and that we get an opportunity to keep competing.
You're in a very desirable place in Dallas. What's your philosophy? What's your sales pitch to players who are out there looking? Because obviously, you look at your defense. You've been very portal heavy at certain times. What's your philosophy in that?
Yeah, I mean, our philosophy, what it's been, what it's kind of transitioning to, and what we want it to be are all a little different. We had to build our program through the portal until we got the ACC bid. We had to fix our defense here at SMU 2 years ago, and that's what Scott Simons and that staff has done. That's why we've competed in our last two championship games, both in the American and the ACC, because we now have a championship level defense, and we've not had that here for 4 decades. And we were able to do that in a way that still didn't hinder our offense, and so we've had good balance there. We're going to have to go into the portal to replace some really good players this year, but we do like our high school classes coming in. And now I think the vision, I think the plan, now that we're in the ACC, now that we've proven we belong, and not only we belong, but at SMU in the ACC, you can compete for a national championship. You can get to the highest level. You can get to your conference championship game. You can get to the college football playoff, even without winning your conference championship game. It just changes everything because we're in Dallas. Dallas is the best city in America. It deserves a big-time college football program, and we're the only option. There's nobody within 30 miles of Dallas, and so we're Dallas's team. The city's embraced us. The community's embraced us. We've embraced the city, and so now all these great high school players don't have to go off and then transfer in later. They can actually come now, compete to play as freshmen and as sophomore, and play for their city. And compete for championships. It's no longer a vision or a pipe dream. It's a reality. And so that makes it a whole lot easier to sell that. And that's how we want to do it. We want to build it from inside out. Dallas and the state of Texas, high school first, portal second. We got to do all of it. And that's what we're going to try to keep doing.
Well, you're definitely selling it because I made a connection at Love Field, got off the airplane, and I see your head right up at top. I'm like, oh, I know him. We
got to do better if my head's the first thing you see.
Well, I'm sitting there at a hotel or an airport bar, just like looking around, and like you just kept looking at me. I'm like, dang, stop looking at me, Rhett.
I have a creepy staring problem.
Last thing, you've been at Auburn as a GA when you won the national championship. You were the offensive coordinator in the national championship game in 2013. So you're not new at this stage. Like you've seen it. Obviously, you're making the decisions now, so it's a little different. But what lessons do you think you can take from those experiences, both winning and losing, and apply them to going up against Penn State in the college football playoff?
Yeah, I mean, your experiences allow you to have learned throughout the 17 years or whatever it's been, whether it's those national championship game environments, this conference championship game environments, or big-time SEC road environments, which is the kind of environment we're going to be going into. So there's a bunch of little things here or there that either you learn in your prep and for your staff or for the players to just try to help them be ready. At the same time, I think you learn there's always a fine line, right? You want to embrace the moment. You want to live in the moment for your guys and them to be able to appreciate the magnitude of your playing in the first ever 12-team college football playoff and what that means. At the same time, there's 60 minutes on the clock. The field size is the same. It's a big stadium with a bunch of people trying to make it hard on us to win. But it's still the same game we played all year to go 11-2. And so how do you keep your preparation and routine the same and not do things out of character? Because that's what happens a lot of times. I think people, we don't even know we do it a lot. Oh, this is a different game. This is a big game. This is a whatever game. So you like wear something different, or you prepare different, or you do something different leading up, and for no reason. There's no reason to do that. And so our guys have been really good trust in that process this year, because we've been in, honestly, since we lost to BYU, we were almost in a must-win situation every week to just get to the ACC Championship game and definitely to keep our CFP hopes alive. So they've felt that kind of pressure week after week, especially in November and last week. And so this will be no different in terms of that. Now, the environment definitely will be different. And so, I think hopefully being in those before and not just saying, oh, we're just going to go play. No, we got to prepare for that environment. It's a real environment. It's a real problem. When teams false start their first play or have to call timeout their first play of the game, like, it's a big deal. And so how do we get through the early surge to not have a slow start like we did in the championship game, to where we can then settle into the game, compete against a great opponent, and see if we're good enough to come out victorious.
Well, Rhett, congratulations again. I know it's been a whirlwind 72 hours for you. Good luck with the portal today and preparing for Penn State. And we'll see if this dream season continues. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Barrett. Go Mustangs.
Today's show brought to you by our good friends at Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection in every single bite. And right now, you can save an unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, score an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. With 5 generations of experience, they constantly deliver the world's best steak experience. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks has made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouthwatering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com, OMAHA steaks.com, and an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply. All right, we will do Mea Culpa Monday. And for those who don't know, Mea Culpa Monday is when I basically come at you and tell you what I got wrong, how I got wrong, and how I can be better moving forward. And we will start with Penn State and Oregon. I thought that Oregon would absolutely dominate. In fact, I said Penn State will get boat raced by the Oregon Ducks. I did not believe in Drew Aller and his ability to keep up with Dylan Gabriel. I did not believe in those Penn State wide receivers. I didn't believe any of it. None whatsoever. And now we just heard from Rhett Lashlee, and of course, he is going up against those Penn State Nittany Lions. That's a good team. That's a complete team. Rhett said it, but I didn't believe it until the Oregon game. I thought they were a liability. I thought Drew Aller was a liability. I'm wrong. 100% wrong. We've seen him at times show off his legs. We saw that in the Ohio State game, right? Especially in the first quarter, they used him as a runner, both by design, and he did a little bit of himself on his own scrambling. So he had that in him. They could be diverse offensively. I didn't think they could do it against Oregon. I didn't think that they could get into a point-a-minute shootout with Oregon, because that's a good Oregon team. That team is built from the inside out at the line of scrimmage. I had no clue. I had no thoughts that they would handle that. Now, going up against a team like SMU, it's very similar to what Oregon does. Up and down the field, high tempo, fast pace. And defensively, we saw what SMU could do in the second half against Clemson. Really, really solid, especially up front. It's going to take a performance a lot like that for Penn State to avoid an upset. We know we can do it. I didn't think they could. I now am a believer. And we'll see if they can do it again, because they have a very, very similar challenge with SMU coming up in a couple of weeks. I was also wrong about Boise State. Now, look, I love Ashton Jeanty, and we turned in our Heisman ballots, and I will tell you my vote after the Heisman show on Saturday night. If I told you my vote beforehand. Like my office door is right there. They might come in and like arrest me. The Heisman Trust is that much of a stickler on revealing our votes early. So I'm not going to tell you if I voted for Ashton Jeanty in number 1, number 2, number 3, or at all. But I didn't think he could do that to UNLV's defense. And I thought UNLV's offense would actually have more for Boise State. Boise State, in my mind, when they were off, they were pretty bad. I mean, the Wyoming game, which was 2 weeks ago, I'm looking at that game going, that's the team that's going to get a bye. Look, I love their running back. They were limited offensively in the passing attack, so they are one-dimensional, and a good team can stop anybody that's one-dimensional by necessity. And I thought that's what UNLV was. I did not think Maddox Matson could do what he did. He was awesome. That throw, I think it was their first touchdown in the corner, was NFL. That has NFL written all over it. So I did not think that Boise State would control that game from the outset. In fact, I picked UNLV to get the job done. I was wrong. I apologize. You're smart. I'm dumb. You're good looking. I'm not. You actually have hair. Mine is losing a battle that it's been fighting for a very, very long time. I was also wrong about Arizona State. I picked Arizona State to win, but I thought it would be a battle. I thought that Iowa State would have more. So I guess I'm wrong about Iowa State. But tell you what, that Arizona State team, Kenny Dillingham's a fantastic coach, but their ability, and I know it's the desert, strike fast like a snake, whatever. I'm not going to go with stupid puns, but can that team actually make noise in the college football playoff? They got a bye. So in theory, they're going to get a good opponent. The brackets are screwed up, and we talked about it in the show last night or yesterday afternoon that they need to fix what happens with the buys and reseeding and things like that. But Arizona State's got a pretty good draw. And yes, they're a threat. They're a threat to win in round 2 because when they get going, it's hard to stop them. The world got introduced to Scattaboo on Saturday afternoon. That's a dangerous team. If they come out hot, if they put up 10, 17, 14 in the first quarter, and you need to play catch up against that team, I don't know. Why? Yeah, the offense is great, but that defense is swarming. Absolutely swarming. So I was wrong about Arizona State and Iowa State, I guess, to an extent as well. We'll take a break. Something very funny happened on X yesterday. What is it? We'll talk about it next. It's College Football Smothered and Covered. And of course, we are powered by Locked On. You know our good friends at FanDuel. Everybody loves FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, if you bet $5, only $5. All you got to do is bet on $5. There's a lot of games coming up. Everybody's going to be watching football. You place a $5 bet, you win it. They give you $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. The FanDuel Sportsbook app, I tell you what, everything is right there. Live betting is a big deal, right? So if you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can look right there. You can see stats, live play-by-play, and you can make your bet right there on the same page. Visit FanDuel.com to join today, and they'll get started with you for $5 bet. You win it, you get $150. That guaranteed. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Okay, there's humor on X. Look, Twitter/X, it's not real life, but it can be entertaining sometimes. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the tweet, the post from Greg Byrne, the athletic director at Alabama. If you're listening, I'll just give you a Cliff's Notes version. He went through this long post, but he said after getting left out, we have said that we would need to see how strength of schedule would be evaluated by the CFP. With this outcome, we will need to assess how many P4 non-conference games make sense in the future to put us in the best position to participate in the CFP. That is not good for college football. And he got community noted. It says all of Alabama's losses came in conference play. Alabama's non-conference schedule was one of the easiest in the country, playing 2 Group of 5 schools, Western Kentucky and USF, 1 FCS school, and a Power 4 team, the 5-7 Wisconsin Badgers, who finished 12th in the Big Ten. I don't understand this argument, and I heard it all afternoon. Heard it from Nick Saban. Obviously, Greg Byrne has it. All the Alabama folks said it. Oh, we got to You lost 3 games in conference play, 2 of which were to below average SEC teams, 1 of which was a 3-touchdown blowout to a double-digit underdog. Stop it with this nonsense that you need to reassess your out-of-conference schedule. It has nothing to do with this. Nothing whatsoever. Nada. Zip. And the only game out of that out-of-conference schedule that you struggled in a little bit was USF. That's a pretty good USF team. Don't get me wrong. Alex Golis should be a head coach in a Power 4 conference this year, or next year, I should say. He should get hired this year. But where is this coming from? Look, I know Alabama needs to defend itself, and I get it. Like, you need to find an excuse, find a way to write off what obviously was a devastating Sunday afternoon. This is not the way to do it. When you get community noted as the athletic director of the University of Alabama because your argument is so bad, that reflects negatively on the whole athletic department. Because Greg Byrne is in charge of the whole athletic department. Look, I understand messaging, and Alabama does a very good job in their media relations department. I've dealt with them for a very long time. Coming up with this message, that's amateur hour. That's amateur hour. Because everybody with a brain, everybody with access to the internet or a smartphone can pull up Alabama's schedule on fbschedules.com, look at the 3 losses, and think, none of those are out of conference. Then they can look up at the record and see 9-3, and then conference record 5-3. There's one number that's the same in those records. It's the 3. Because it was from conference play. Alabama, be better. It's embarrassing. You're doing yourself no favors with this nonsense narrative that you need to reassess out of conference play. Hey, sign up to be College Football Smothered and Covered Insider. The subtext link is right below. We can have a text conversation. It'll be fun. Some big news about where I will be going in the first round of the college football playoff. I will be at one of these games, be covering it. Where? Now we're still sort of figuring that out. But I guarantee you it will be somewhere fun, might be cold, might be hot. There's only one somewhat warm location for a home game in the first round, so you can probably figure out which one that is. But that news will be coming up a little later in the week. Enjoy your Monday. Appreciate Rhett Lashlee hopping on. We'll talk to you Tuesday.